musicstudio.com, and in this video we are going to talk about SEO slash search engine optimization. I want to go through everything that you need to know as a studio owner about that topic. And the reason I'm doing that is that throughout this month I'm taking questions from those who read the blog, who watch the videos, who kind of participate in social media around the topics of studio ownership, growing a music studio, and I'm answering all of your questions. And today's is a question that I don't get fairly often, but often enough that I think it is on a lot of people's minds. And the specific question, and the way it was presented this way is, if I already rank in the top 3 on Google, would you still recommend buying ads? Or what he specifically asked was, would you still recommend doing AdWords? So if you already rank in Google in the top 3, if you have great SEO for your website and your website is showing up very high in the Google search results when people type in piano lessons or guitar lessons or music lessons in your area, if that's true for you, if people type that in and your website is right there at the very top, should you pay for ads? So a lot of times I eventually get to an answer, but today I'm actually going to answer the question right off, but then I'm going to explain and defend the answer because I think it's a little bit counterintuitive. So if that is the case for you, if you rank very highly in Google for the search term around your lesson program, I would say, yes, you absolutely should still pay for ads. And I'm going to explain why here over the next few minutes, but I want to address something right before I do that, and that is if you don't rank very highly for that search term in your area, I think this video is ultimately going to be very encouraging for you, because the reasons why I would recommend that you still pay for ads, even if you rank at the very, very top of Google in the search returns. The reasons why you would still want to pay for ads is going to be encouraging to folks who don't currently rank that highly. Now, I will say one more thing as I jump into this question, that this is a little bit more of an intermediate to advanced topic. But if you are a beginner at studio marketing or studio growth, I still think there's a lot to learn here, because I'm going to tie this into some concepts I think can be useful if you are just starting out or just taking studio marketing seriously. Even in the last week, I've spoken to folks who've gotten on the phone with me to do a strategy session with me, and they've identified as someone who hasn't taken their studio marketing very seriously up to this point. Even one person I spoke to earlier this week who has been teaching for 10 years, but they were really now just in a place where they were really trying to grow their income, and they were wanting to know, okay, what should I do? What are the steps that I should take? So even if that's you, I still think there's a lot for you to learn here. So let's jump right into it. If you rank very highly, I still recommend that you buy ads. Why? Okay, reason number 1, most people don't actually even go below the ad returns at the top and the Google Map listings and Google My Business listings. So to briefly explain the Google search results page, which I'm sure all of us see multiple times per week, I want to briefly remind you of it since you don't have one right in front of you right now. At the top you have ads, then you have maps and Google My Business profiles in the map section, and then you have search returns. And for competitive terms like music lessons or dance lessons or cell phone or lawn care companies, a lot of times there will be 4 ads right at the top, taking up a bunch of real estate in your screen. Now, I have some very large monitors, and even on my monitors, a lot of times it doesn't even show the Google My Business listings underneath because the ads take up so much real estate on the page. If you're on mobile, if someone's searching for lessons on mobile, or someone is searching for lessons on a smaller screened laptop or a tablet, you definitely could bet that they're not going to see even all of the Google Maps returns. Now, I'm going to explain why this is important in a second, but I thought I'd point that out right here at the very beginning. And the reason is that, and this is why I said research back in the description of this video, is that there are a lot of companies out there who do research on marketing and marketing results. If these giant corporations are spending millions and billions of dollars every year, they want to know the facts. They want to know what's true about marketing inside of Google's ecosystem. And this is what they found. 50% of people don't actually even go below the ads at the top. So if you are currently number 1 on Google, Google has actually stacked the deck against you, because 50% of people don't even go past the ads. Now, I often get people saying, well, I do. In fact, I ignore the ads. Okay, you're one of the other 50%. But it's not you we're trying to impress, right? What we're trying to do is play the numbers game here and get as many people to see our studio as possible. because the more people that are aware of that opportunity and aware of the offer that you have, the more people that will ultimately come to your site, and therefore the more people that will eventually sign up for more information or sign up for a phone call or a trial lesson or intro lesson and eventually sign up and pay you. So if we know that 50% of people, and I think the exact number actually was only 46% of people go below those ads and Google Map listings, if only 46% of people go below that point, it would behoove you, even if you are number one on Google, to focus on those two things that almost everybody sees, and that is the ads, and that is the Google Maps listings, specifically the Google My Business profile that you have to be on Google Maps. So what I'm saying, just to kind of briefly sum it up, if you aren't using a PPC strategy, if you aren't using Google Ads, then you're losing half of the viable audience right off the bat simply by not having that. But I want to go further than this. I want to go a little bit deeper. So first is you're losing half your audience. Second, and this is something that's a little more advanced, and it wasn't something that I realized until I started working with a lot of studios. So I have been consulting with studios and helping them grow their student base for years now. And this even took me by surprise when I first saw it. And it's this, that not all traffic converts the same. And here's what I mean. And I think it was Search Engine Land. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it was Search Engine Land who did this study. But what they found was that when traffic was sent to a site or landing page based on the organic search results, the SEO search results, that traffic converted at about 15%. So for every 100 people that came to the site, 15 of those people signed up for the trial lesson or signed up to have a phone call or generally just reached out to ask the studio owner for more information. But if someone was sent to a landing page from a Google ad, that it was 27 out of 100. Now you can do the math yourself. If you're even converting half of those people, 15, half of that is, let's say 7, that's potentially $700 in new tuition every single month as a result of coming from an organic search results or coming from the organic search results, if you're charging $100 a month, obviously. But if it's coming from ads traffic, that's an additional $1,300 a month that's coming in as a result of that. Again, if you convert half of those people that reached out and contacted. So obviously huge numbers by a factor of, double the income based on where that traffic came from. And then I even have my own personal experience to kind of back this up. When I first installed tracking software and figured out how to do goal tracking, where I wanted to find out, okay, I've got all these people coming to my site, how are they actually signing up? And what's the path that they take through my site? What are the actions that they're doing on my site? And what's the eventual result? This is what I found. For people that came in from map listings or from organic listings, that the conversion rate was about 2%, 2 out of 100. But those that came from PPC traffic, for myself, and again, this is to a general site, this isn't to a landing page, like I mentioned just a minute ago, which was 27%, but even on my site, it would fluctuate between 10 to 15%. That is a 5-fold increase coming from PPC traffic. So if the question, to go back to the beginning of the video, if the question is, I already rank, I'm already doing it for free, should I pay for ads? Then I would have to say, here's the research, yes. Here's my personal experience, yes. Here's dozens and dozens of studios that I get a look into their metrics, yes. That ad traffic converts better, even better than the map traffic or the Google My Business traffic. And Google My Business is something that I frequently say in these videos you must be doing, okay? Just straight out, if you're not doing it, you need to go and do it today. You will end up getting more students as a result, period. There's a lot of things that we can talk about how to optimize that and what's going to make that convert better. Obviously, I don't have time in a video of this size to talk about that in passing. But in general, even the Google My Business traffic does not convert as well as compared to the ads traffic. Now, there is an objection. There is an objection that people have. And they think this, okay, if roughly half of people don't go below the ads, but 100% of the people see the ads, why would I pay for the ads when if half of those people came down the page, they would click, doesn't it mean then that some of the people that would have scrolled down the page and clicked on my organic listing, doesn't that mean that they would have that I wouldn't have had to pay for an ad click if they would have scrolled down? And the answer is yes. And again, Search Engine Land did research on this, and they showed that the cannibalization rates were about 33%. That 33% of people that end up clicking your ad, they might have scrolled down and actually clicked on your organic listing. And I know it isn't 50% like the previous number, and I know there's a lot of numbers being thrown around here, but this is what the people who spend millions and millions of dollars on this research have come up with. I trust those numbers, right? So the thought is, yes, you are spending a little bit more than what you would have had to, but the thought that I have about this is simply this. I spend about $2,000 a year in Google Ads to send 150 to 200 contacts to my site. And I don't mean traffic, I mean people who actually reach out to me. It only costs me about $2,000 a year to get 150 to 200 people to reach out to me, and many of those people I sign up. Is it worth it to me to maybe spend an extra $500 in a year to get that many versus getting half that number of leads or less, and actually much less if we think about how poorly the organic traffic converts compared to the ads traffic? Would I rather spend $500 more to get 150 more contacts than if I had just let the organic listings give me maybe 50 contacts in a year versus 200 if I spend the ads? 100% I'm willing to spend that extra money, because I'd rather have 200 people contacting me, not 50, which is what would have happened off of the organic traffic. So would I rather have about one person a week contacting me or about 4 people a week contacting me? I'd much rather have 4. And if I have to spend an additional $500 a month to do that because it's cannibalizing that from the organic listings, then that's the price you pay to get that kind of results. But I'm not worried about that because I'm running a 6-figure studio as a one-person studio. I'm more than happy to pay that amount to get that kind of exposure and to be able to pick and choose and be choosy with the students that come into me. Because if it were the organic traffic only, then I might have to take every single one of those students, or I might not have as many students to pick among. But as it is now, because I get so many people contacting me, I actually can be a little bit choosier with the quality of student, the age of the student. Perhaps I'm focusing more on younger kids, ages 5 to 8, because I know they're going to last in my studio a lot longer. Whereas if I was having to take everyone in, I might have to take my fair share of teenagers that tend to not last as long, if for no other reason than the fact that they're going to be graduating soon from high school and going off to college. So that is why I don't mind, quote unquote, that cannibalization. And people have brought this up to me before, so I thought it would be a good thing to talk about on a video like this, because to my knowledge, I've never talked about this particular aspect of SEO or SEO versus ads ever before in a video. So I thought I'd at least mention that. Now, I will say this, and I talk about this more in a video that I recently released. So you can go to growyourmusicstudio.com/grow, and there's a video that I released from one of my premium trainings. It's for free. You can get started on this for, it's absolutely 100% free. You go there, and I go into much more detail about this, this specific topic of what are the numbers that you must have in your studio for it to be growing on a month-by-month continual basis. And I go into much more detail in that video. But one of the main points I make in that video is that if you're doing your ads right, you're actually making a profit on your ads every month. So if you spend $100 on ads in a single month, and you're getting one new student from it, and you're charging $100 per month for tuition, you've actually broken even on that ad. But if you get 2 or 3 or 4 students as a result of that ad, you're actually making a profit on that ad spend. So that's something to keep in mind, and it's another reason why I just don't care, to pay for ads even when my organic listings are so good. Final thought: you have to measure. You absolutely must measure. It would be a very good idea to have analytics software installed on your website, and I talked about this in a video that I did last week. But if you aren't measuring the amount of traffic that you have coming in, the number of people contacting you, the source that you got them from, you are leaving money on the table, because you do need a higher level of attention and focus in this particular aspect of marketing because all of marketing has become digital. And there's just no way around it. We can't get past this. Even a few years ago, I found myself apologizing for telling people that they had to do ads. I think it's just becoming more and more clear that you are invisible these days if you're not running ads or you don't have a fairly substantial online presence. And there's ways to do that without having it to fill up your entire life or having to become, a coder that can code websites or becoming a super genius at marketing. There are simple things that can be done. I talk a lot about this in my masterclass. It doesn't have to completely consume your life, but there are some base level things. There are some foundational things that must be done. And I think one of them is measuring, because you want to keep track of your investment and protect the investment that you're having, which is specifically having a good website and paying for ads. So I want to thank you for your attention today. I want to thank you for watching. Certainly happy to answer any other questions that follow up as a result of this video. So if you have a question, leave it below. If you like this video, give it a like or share it with someone who you think it would be useful with. As I mentioned, right now I am giving away a training, a very valuable training that up to this point I have never released publicly. You can find that at graymusicceo.com/grow. I'll leave that as a link after this video is done. Go and check that out. It's some pretty powerful stuff. It's kind of the secret sauce behind how my studio marketing system works, and dozens of studios that I've built studio marketing for. So go check that out there. I think you'll find it intellectually engaging, but more importantly, profitable. Anyway, thanks so much for your attention. If you have a question, leave it below. I'll make a video. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Have a good day. Bye.